You know, if we were in church, the piano would start playing. So that means everybody needs to get quiet. Thank y'all for being here. This is our last meeting before crossover. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 great bills that we're going to look at this morning, and hopefully we can get them passed. Good morning. Yeah. Senator Setzler, you mind opening us with a prayer, please? And what number are you? Fine.
Thanks, sir. Pray with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for all that you've given us, Lord God. We thank you for what you've entrusted us with. I pray that, Lord God, we will be faithful. I pray that we'll be faithful in this committee, and as this committee does its work, we'll be faithful in the task of educating young people. I pray that you bless us today, bless us with peace, bless us with wisdom, that we will glorify you in all that we do. We pray this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, let's start off. We didn't write down the agenda. We'll start with Senate Bill 82. Senator Dixon. Yes, sir. Thank you. I knew you were here. So if you will please tell us the bill number and LC number, and then tell us again why this bill is passionate for you, or why you decided to carry it.
I've gotten to the age where I have to put readers on now.
That's okay. It's just a sign of age.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to bring Senate Bill 82 in front of you today. Working off of LC 499003S. And the name of this act is the Local Charter School Authorization and Support Act. And essentially, currently there are about 96 charter schools throughout the state of Georgia, with about 65,000 students attending charter schools. And what this bill does, it addresses the state charter schools' access by issuing incentives to local school districts to approve more charter schools, and also holding districts accountable if they repeatedly deny high-quality charter petitions. This bill is needed because there's currently 21,000 students on charter school waiting lists throughout the state of Georgia. And in the past 5 years, only one school has been approved locally, while at the state level, there's been over 30. Among the state's authorized charter schools, 85% outperform surrounding area district schools. And so you wonder, why are so many of these, being denied in the first place at the local level? Kind of a cost comparative is when a charter school's approved at the state level, it's roughly about $4 million to the state. And if you take a locally approved, then it breaks it down into what we all well know on the education committee is, 45% comes from the state and 45% from local, and you get your 10% from the federal government. So kind of what the bill does in Section 3 and 4 has the financial incentives. Section 3 allows districts to acquire additional capital outlay entitlement credits in the years they approve a charter school locally. In Section 5, this allows districts to earn $250,000 per year for a period of 3 years after approving a charter school locally. Accountability measures for districts enrolling between 10,000 and 60,000 students if the district denies 2 charter school petitions that are approved by the state later on, they're no longer eligible to renew its flexibility contract with the state. For districts enrolling over 60,000 students, it would be three times. And it also increases transparency. When a local board denies a charter school petition, it must publicly disclose, why it denied the school in the first place. But, why these charter schools are so important to me, as we've moved throughout our state and moving towards more school choice options and throughout our state. And like I said, students, as we all know, learn differently. And these charter schools are definitely an important part of our education system here in the state, and we need to incentivize the locals to approve more of these. In most states, it's about 90% are approved at the local level and 10% at the state level. Here we're at about 50-50. So this bill would help incentivize the locals to approve those high-quality charter schools. I'd be happy to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, you do have a couple questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You said how many have been denied the local charter schools?
I didn't
Stated
have
that number.
Yeah, there's only been one approved in the past 5 years locally.
And has there ever been a comparison between those charter schools that are being denied and the local schools system's performance? Are some of these kids in suffering school districts that are trying to find another option for their children that are still being denied charter schools?
Yeah, I would think so. Let me let you handle that question if you like.
Yes, sir. I'm Bonnie Holliday with the Georgia Charter Schools Association.
Hold on just a second. Let's see. Is that mic working?
I think so. Is it
Okay,
working?
there you
Okay,
go.
sorry.
Yeah, you need to pull it up close, or get up close to it.
Got it. Yes, so of almost all of the 30 petitions that have been approved by over 30 that have been approved by the State Charter Schools Commission in the last 5 years were first denied locally, to your first question. All of them have to go to local districts before they go to the
You
state.
talk a little bit slower, please.
Yes, sir. all of the 30 plus petitions that have been approved by the state first went to a local district for consideration. And then of those that were approved by the commission, 85% of their portfolio, 85% of all the schools they authorize are outperforming the districts they serve. So they do that kind of analysis that you're talking about where they compare the schools to the surrounding schools, because the question they always ask is, if we were to open the school, would they attend a school that's better or worse than the school to which the student is zoned? And if the answer is they would go to a better school, then they say, yes, we're going to approve this. And the data tells us that they've been making good decisions because 85% of their portfolio is outperforming the schools around the charters.
All right, thank you.
Senator Dozal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Chairman Dixon. I want to make sure I understand kind of the state of play currently in the state of Georgia. There's two types of charter, state and local. Mm-hmm. The application process is the same. They have to apply local first. But if it's approved locally, then the locals take on that QBE number.
That's correct.
If they deny it and then it's approved as a state charter, the state covers the state QBE and the local share. So is that correct?
Yeah, essentially 90%. Yes, sir.
Okay. So what you have, the locals have basically figured out if we deny the charter,
That's right.
it will likely be approved anyway, and the state foots the entire bill. But if we approve it, we have to foot essentially half of the bill. And so what you're endeavoring to do here is to incentivize and ultimately have a little bit of a stick as well. You have a carrot and a stick in the bill to hopefully get more of these charters approved locally, so that this current culture that we're in of, locals will just disapprove it, state will approve it, state eats all the cost. You want to see that change. The locals are investing in those local students as well. Is that the intent of this bill essentially?
That is correct, Senator.
Thank you.
Senator Stetson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Couldn't have said it any better than Chairman Dolezal, but I will make one more point. I wanted to clarify, I think for the committee, as they deliberate on this, isn't it true that what Senator Dolezal said, the state foots the entire bill, but what happens is when you've got students in a camp, for example, if it's a county school system, when they attend the state charter school, that district loses all those kids, call it 800 kids, but the local tax funding, which has been levied for years to support those kids, stays in the pocket of the school board. So the school board actually gets to keep all their local money, and they lose students fully funded by the state. So there's a powerful incentive that the net per pupil funding for their other kids that don't go to the charter school goes up if they deny the charter. There's powerful financial incentives that this General Assembly's created that the state would fully fit the bill, and we're just trying to simply really level the playing field, not provide an advantage, but it's more leveling the playing field to make it a more balanced, revenue neutral kind of proposition for the school boards. Is that not really what you're doing?
That is correct.
Senator Sims.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please explain to me the affordability of local school boards taking on an additional school.
I'm happy to respond. We did think about that, Senator Sims, because the last thing we want to do is compromise a local district's ability to afford all students the best possible public education they can. That's why this bill only applies to 36 districts in the state, and it's the largest 36 districts. That is, those serving over 10,000 students. And so they do have the economies of scale just based on their district size and student enrollment that they could support a charter school. The last thing we wanted to do is penalize small districts that maybe they have one feeder pattern of elementary, middle, and high school. This bill doesn't apply to them. It's only the larger districts in Georgia.
Again, I'm still not, what is the percentage of, do you have, tell me about the money. I need to see the dollars or percentages, or do you have any information that you can share?
We do have information about how much it costs to operate charter schools, and we can certainly pull that for you. And then we have information on district reserves in those larger districts, and we could certainly pull that for you too.
District reserves?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So are we looking at the reserves that these districts have and thinking that we can expand by adding another choice, a school of choice, which would be a charter school? Is that what you're saying?
We're just looking at the student population that they have with the funds available to them, and then yes, the resources would be expended on the public school students in the district.
Okay, so why do they have reserves?
That's a question for a district.
So would you want to have a school district that does not have any reserves at all?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Senator. We've got some people that want to speak, and we will limit you because we got 5 bills there. We're going to limit you to a minute each. Zoe Adams and Letitia Adams, Dominion Purpose Academy. And you're speaking in support of the bill.
Honorable Chair and members of the committee, my name is Zoe Jones Adams, and I am 10 years old. I walked this Dominion Purpose Academy journey with my mom, the founder, for the past 2 years. I spoke at the State Education Board meeting for the need of DPA. I also spoke at the Muskogee County School District Board work session and urged them to approve DPA. This was the meeting where they were supposed to discuss my mom's application. They did not discuss her application or ask any questions about the application. This was not right. Although I'm 10 years old, I understand the process my mom went through, and Muskogee County was not fair for the families who deserve a choice. Less than 30% of Muskogee County students in grades 3 through 8th in both ELA and math are on grade level, according to the 2024 through 2025 Georgia Milestones. That means a lot of kids like me aren't learning what they need to. And when we don't learn, it makes us feel like we were not smart or we can't do big things. But at Dominion Purpose Academy, it's different. Recently, we had a big family fun night sponsored by DPA. My mom modeled design thinking, and everyone there designed the perfect school. Almost every small group said that they wanted a school that they chose and felt like family. The school my mom designed with the help of the community is that type of school. The school where relationships, rigor, and relevance matter. I don't understand why opening Dominion Purpose Academy was so hard for my mom and our DPA team. We had to fight just to give kids a chance, just like me. We had to fight by canvassing in neighborhoods, walking in parades, and speaking at board meetings, and also attending churches. I say we because I was right there with my mom, fighting for Muskogee County Schools to approve Dominion Purpose Academy.
Thank you. How old are you?
I'm 10.
10? What? Fifth grade? Fourth?
Yes,
Fifth grade? Well, thank you. You read very well, and I appreciate that so much. Yes, ma'am. Could you identify yourself and...
Honorable Chair and members of the committee, thank you. My name is Dr. Latasha Adams, the founder and executive director of Dominion Purpose Academy. I'm also a graduate of Muskogee County Schools, and I really, really wanted to work alongside the district to open my charter school. A charter school created to serve children in one of the poorest zip codes in Georgia. A charter school that wasn't approved locally, even though we had community demand. I didn't start this first charter school in Muskogee County because it was easy. I started it because it was necessary. For years, I've watched students in Muskogee County struggle in an education system that's failing them. As a former teacher in the district, the experiences of our children was a call to action to a district charter school. In 2023-24 Georgia Milestones Assessment, Muskogee County students performed below state average on 25 out of 27 assessments. That means thousands of children, especially those in underserved communities, are falling behind year after year. Parents see this, they feel this, and they are desperate for options. Charter schools like Dominion Purpose Academy exist to give families choice.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Matt Tyson, and then Ms. Artesius Miller. So if you would please get ready. Thank you, Ms. Tyson.
Hi.
Please identify yourself.
My name is Dr. Matthew Tyson. I am the principal of Tapestry Public Charter School in DeKalb County. And so I am here to argue in behalf of the bill. Tapestry Public Charter School was developed 11 years ago by parents of kids on the autism spectrum. They wanted their kids to be authentically included in an environment, so they partnered with DeKalb County Schools. They became a locally authorized charter. That was 11 years ago. I've been with them for 9 years. In the time since, we've defined what it means to have a truly inclusive environment. We now have shown that we beat people across the board. Our graduation rate for students with disabilities was between 97 and 100% every single year. We are tiny. We are 301 students from middle school and high school, all through 6th and 12th grade. So after 10 years of operations, we decided that we wanted to open a second campus. Our wait list is consistently around 377 students. That is for a school that enrolls 301 students total. In DeKalb, a huge county, we have more than enough people to start another campus. So what we did was looked at Atlanta Public Schools. We wanted to start a school in Atlanta Public Schools. They denied us 2 years in a row, despite our data beating theirs, with 60% of our students having special needs and 9% of their students. There was no reason to deny us. They did 2 times in a row. Neither time had any reason besides things like nationwide teacher shortage, besides nonsense, because they didn't want to authorize a district charter because they had no incentive to do so.
I think we understand your message.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Miller? Oh, Mr. Miller, I'm sorry.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Artesius Miller, founder and CEO of Utopian Academy for the Arts Charter School Network. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. Thank you, Chairman, for the opportunity to speak. Excuse me. Utopian Academy for the Arts was founded initially to give students here in Atlanta, Georgia, access to high-quality options for a school system that had consistently had chronically failing schools for some time. This is in Clayton County, Georgia. Utopian Academy for the Arts went through 3 years of seeking charter authorization at the local level. Despite the community support, despite written endorsements from community leaders, elected officials to say there is there is an option for students that doesn't exist here in our county. It took us 3 years before we would eventually get the approval at the state level. There are too many stories like a Utopian Academy for the Arts that exist here in our state that need to have the opportunity to have districts clearly understand why school choice is necessary, but the benefits and the value add that it has not only for its stakeholders, but also those that reside in the school system as well. I just want to say lastly that it is really important for you to understand the power of choice for our parents. There is a huge wait list that we have. There are wait lists of 21,000 students across the state of Georgia that are looking for the access, and our local school systems just need to know the power that they have for authorization, because there really does need to be a balance between the state and local levels, and we are a proven testament to show the power in partnerships when a school system can authorize a charter school. So I really hope that you will yield this support, because it is so necessary for the students of Georgia, and I really appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Let me just ask a general question of the author or something. Is there a sunset provision on charter schools? There's not.
They're usually approved for 5 years.
Oh, okay. Well, the only reason I say that is y'all know we are working so hard to improve the education of our public school system. And so, if our public school system was up where we would like for them to be, then may not be a need for them. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
It creates a competitive marketplace, so that's
Yes,
a
sir.
good thing.
Ms. China, oh, there you are. Okay. When you get up there, identify yourself and tell us.
Hi, my name is China Curgidge Clements, and I'm a proud daughter of South Cobb and a lifelong educator. I've dedicated my career to ensuring all students, regardless of their zip code, receive a high-quality education. Under my leadership, students have achieved unprecedented academic growth, with schools reaching 100% graduation rate and 100% college acceptance rate. And I know how to unlock the potential in every child. Yet, Cobb County School District has created barriers preventing me from bringing that excellence to South Cobb. Our schools are failing, with low test scores, lack of resources, and students falling further behind, and parents are desperate for better options in South Cobb. I'm ready to provide an option through Power Public Schools, a charter school designed to empower, educate, and elevate this community, but the system is designed to deny my success and forcing me to operate with only state funding while the district keeps resources meant for my students. They impose higher accountability on me rather than their other struggling schools. But I don't fear accountability. I fear that another generation of South Cobb students will be left behind.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Very well said. Thank you. Camelia? Yes, ma'am. Please state your name, please, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Kamala Moore-John.
Okay.
And I'm the proud mom of 2 daughters in DeKalb County. I'm here today to advocate on the importance of charter school options in the state of Georgia, specifically DeKalb County, which hasn't approved a charter school in years. I'm a homeowner that works hard daily to support the American dream, only to realize that figuring out schooling for children can quickly turn into a nightmare. I've spent the last 3 years educating my children in private school, only to learn that they're still facing educational gaps that I was trying to avoid with failing public schools. The Anchor School and DeKalb Brilliance have stepped up to fulfill your need that is long overdue in DeKalb County. I have a child that started out behind at the beginning of the school year, but is essentially on grade level now due to the hard work, the commitment, and the creative solutions that was implemented by her charter school. I implore you to seriously consider charter school legislation today that will create a viable option for our children's tomorrow. As a mom, having viable option schools for my kids is imperative. As an insurance broker, I have clients that are charter schools, and I realize how hard they work daily to support all of our Georgian children. Thank you,
ma'am. Sir Dixon, you knocked it out with people who support you today. Wow. Let's see. I think we got a couple of people that's multiple support. So let's just, instead of bringing them forward, let's just go on and move it. So we need, I'm looking for a motion on this bill.
Motion to pass, Mr. Chairman.
Who was that? Okay. Do I have a second? Senator Sampson. Okay. Any discussion?
Comment, Mr. Chairman.
Sir?
I have a comment.
Yes, sir, please.
I think it's important. I just want to piggyback off a statement you made earlier that if the public schools are doing their job, I think it's important to remember these are public schools. And these are just public schools of choice. And so even if you have a thriving public school system, you can still envision scenarios or specific pathways or specific needs may be well met by charters. So whether it's, as these ladies and gentlemen described, failing public schools, I think that charter schools have a place both in our excellent systems and our systems that may be currently underperforming. That these are, I think that often this gets distilled down into charter versus public, and the reality these are all public schools.
Thank you. Our senator that got caught in traffic. You have a question? Oh, I thought your light was on. I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Oh, is that right? Okay, I'm coming back this way. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, being the taking off of what Senator Dolezal said is public schools. This is just two different ways to deliver public education. The thing about charter schools, I think I would share to those that are maybe listening. One of the speakers said there's no more accountability anywhere in our system than in charter schools. If charter schools don't do their job, they get shut down. What other failing public schools do we have that get shut down after 5 years if they don't do their job? There's nowhere there's more accountability, and I think this again levels the playing field for funding. And appreciate the author bringing the bill.
Thank you for your comment. Okay, we taking a vote. All in favor of Senate Bill 82? Please raise your hand. Okay. Any opposed? One. Thank you. Great job, sir. Appreciate it. Next is Senate Bill 171, Senator Anna Bertardi.
Chairman, did you just pass this by substitute?
Huh?
Is that a substitute? Mm-hmm. Okay, we need to make sure that that's clear with the
Okay.
motion.
On this one?
By substitute, yeah.
Yeah, yes. Yes.
So you'll just need to reconsider that motion real quick and just make sure it's by substitute.
This one here?
I don't think we really talked about it much.
This one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
62 or 82 is a substitute. Yeah. 82.
Do we have a substitute?
Mm-hmm. Where's your 82?
82 right here.
You got it?
Y'all hold on just a second.
We passed the substitute.
Okay.
So we just need to reconsider.
Yeah, actually, that was a substitute on 82, so let's re-vote based on the substitute for 82, and it's LC 499003S. So all those in favor, please raise your hand.
So we're moving do pass by committee substitute?
Yes, yes. Do pass by committee substitute. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Anybody against? Yeah, okay. Thank you for helping me out. Appreciate it. Norma's Senator Dolezal that helps me out.
He didn't vote. You may want to tell Senator Dolezal come back and vote.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, Senator, thank you. I like this. I like this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll go as well as the last bill.
Yeah.
Well, good morning and thank you. I'm going to try and be brief on both my bills. But this first bill is an important bill just related to the topic of academics, math. So just for the record, so we're working off committee substitute for Senate Bill 171. LC 610170S should be the number you have. The growth of our future generations at its core begins with the educational resources and opportunities that we as lawmakers and parents equip them with. Currently, students demonstrating aptitude at a young age are not always guaranteed the opportunity to maximize their future learning experiences. In a concerning 2020 national report, it was revealed that 39% of public middle schools did not offer Algebra 1, and 33% of public schools, high schools, did not offer advanced math. To ensure that our students in Georgia are adequately granted the opportunity to maximize their learning, we need policy ensuring the establishment of advanced academic pathways track for student enrollment and success. Far too often, qualified young students are not enrolled in the advanced and rigorous math courses they deserve to be in. A system of automatic enrollment for qualified students to be placed in advanced courses would open a gateway of new and exciting opportunities for them. Students from all communities, backgrounds, and schools would finally be afforded the same opportunity for success as their peers on the basis of their academic achievements rather than decisions of their teachers or counselors. This legislation would ensure that a structured pathway is put in place by the Georgia State Board of Education for students in grades 3 through 8 to take gifted or advanced math classes. This pathway would be required offering for grades 6 through 8 by local schools, coupled with a system of automatic enrollment and data accountability on behalf of these schools. Would be best to equip our students with the opportunity to prepare themselves for college and beyond. In order to absolutely ensure that our students are fulfilling their academic potential, we must require that they are afforded these opportunities through a system dedicated to their success. The State Board already recognizes the significance and benefits of this policy and has initiated a rule that will serve to meet this requirement. The passage of this bill ensures they complete this process and allows the legislature to set the parameters, including reporting requirements that enable the public and policymakers to best monitor the success of the overall program. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions of the committee? So let me just ask you, so grades 3 through 5 is to authorize the schools to be able to do this. The other grades 6 through 8 is to require it.
That is correct.
Any reason why there's a difference between authorize and require? Identify yourself, please.
Yeah, so my name is Michael O'Sullivan. I'm the Executive Director of Georgia Can, and we are fully in support of this legislation. Early grades, it gets a little bit more complicated. The evidence isn't as strong. Middle school is really where you can see a differentiation of academic opportunities. And so in earlier grades, you see more things like a gifted or a talented type program like that. Less a complete shift in a pathway, where middle school, you really could change a trajectory of a child's life just by offering more advanced math to those who are capable of achieving.
Good. Thank you, sir. Senator Sessom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So what this does is it requires Algebra 1 be offered in 8th grade, is what it does, is the bill?
That would be part of it, yes, sir.
Is there any way we can get it to, you talked about advanced math in high school, does this affect high school at all in any way? I know getting kids into calculus in high school is a huge deal for them going into college and not hitting calculus in a semester class. Is that part of this or not part of this?
So yes and no, and I know Michael probably want to comment also, but I think it's kind of in preparation for that. I do agree with you, Senator. I know we see it in our local high schools, where there's limited offerings around these topics. Computer science, I think my high school maybe has 2 classes, but I think the rigorous pathway or number of classes around math is not really preparing the kids for when they graduate, even in some elements. And some of this could be based on instructor, it could be based on the curriculum that maybe some schools are using based on state rules. It's not fully preparing kids from when they walk out the door. So what they may be getting in terms of what some schools consider kind of a high level math course may actually be mediocre in preparing them for whether they go start their own company or they want to go to Georgia Tech or they want to go somewhere else. I think this is kind of just laying the groundwork so that when they get to that level, they're not making up in 10th, 11th, 12th grade. Well, 12th grade's too late. These skill sets. And I know Michael has some comments on that too.
I got you. I don't want to take, because I do have one statement I need to make to the committee. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Author, this bill requires school districts to let parents nudge their kids forward and challenge them in math. My brother in 7th grade and my daughter in 7th grade, their parents advocating for them in a school that allowed this to happen changed their life, because I will tell you, there's schools that say, you know what, your kid's not quite ready for pre-algebra. Kids are making life decisions in 5th and 6th grade by the arc of the math classes they take. If they don't get in the right math class in 6th grade, they will never take calculus in high school, and it affects their ability to succeed in college, and it is amazing. This gives parents the right to say, you know what, my kid's taking pre-algebra in 7th grade because they're taking algebra 1 in 8th grade, and gets them on that arc. Without this guarantee, there's kids who are held back, and they'll never take calculus in high school. If you don't take calculus in high school, it is a tsunami that's going to hit you when you get to college. So I thank you for this. Parents have no idea that in 5th and 6th grade, they're making decisions for their kids' future.
Yeah, and Senator, to that, not to belabor the point, but I mean, I think you're right. I mean, my experience, when I graduated from, what I call the original Chamblee High School, I think one of the first, public charter schools in the state history, that pathway kind of dynamic you're describing, like, existed. And I don't know that it exists today to where parents feel like either they're empowered or they get that choice put in front of them to say, hey, my kid wants to strive and do more. And so they can, work together with the school to figure out, okay, how do I do that? And then figure out whatever the end goal is, at an early age, not waiting until we're, basically checked out of school and ready to move on.
Thank you, sir. We do have, there's no more live. Thank you. So we do have one person, in addition to Michael, that Mr. Buzz Rockway. Oh, sitting right there. Okay. Sorry about that. Your right beard is small.
I'm sorry. I didn't do very well in writing in school, Mr. Chairman. But thank you for my friend Senator Anna Vittardi for bringing this bill. One point I just want to drive home to you, Mr. Chairman. This legislature, and you were at the forefront of leading this, set Georgia up for success in the coming years in reading. And if you look, what you see is once students can comprehend reading, their math scores go up. You take a look at Mississippi, the NAEP scores over the last couple of years, as they've improved in reading, their math scores increase. So I believe this is a necessary step for our state to take advantage of that. As students can better perform in math, it opens up these pathways, it opens up all the opportunities that Senator Setzler was talking about for us to take advantage of that in math. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Love y'all's favorable support for this.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm looking for a motion on the bill. Thank you, sir. And we are by substitute, Senate Bill 171 by substitute. Got a motion down? Yeah. Need a second. Senator Kemp. Oh, you got a question?
Just discussion.
Oh, okay. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And to the author, I fully support this. I've had discussions in my district about something like this. One of the issues that they run into is we don't have, I guess, gifted certified teachers or enough in elementary school. So right now we've got 8 or 9 elementary schools in one of my counties, and when they do like a gifted program, it's one teacher for all the schools, and they kind of rotate. Would you be opposed to, and would you think this is a friendly amendment if on line 32 we added, at the end of the sentence, you just take the period off, and it's talking about offering additional supports, and just put "and to teachers who instruct students in the advanced mathematics pathway." That way, if a school district or system needs to send a teacher to get gifted certified, that they can offer those, whether it be financial or just support in general.
Yeah, that probably should be okay. I do want to remind the committee, lines 29 through 31, it is optional. So if a student is basically identified to be put in the pathway, obviously that family can opt out and not choose to do so, but I don't. Yeah, the local school district shall be authorized.
No problem. Because I think, and if I may, Mr. Chairman, so we have a gifted coordinator in one of my counties, and one of the issues that she has said is getting teachers who will actually go and get gifted certified, because a lot of times they have to bear their own expenses for that. And those that do go, it not only helps the gifted students, but it teaches the teachers how to teach more effectively, and that actually translates to all students. So it kind of brings everybody up at the same time. And this would just kind of be a nudge to school districts to help support those who wish to go get gifted certified.
I think that's cool. Thank you, Senator.
So will you restate what your amendment is?
Okay, so I'd like to offer the amendment at the end of line 32. And Ledge Council, if you could help me clean this up, if it needs cleaned up, but just to add, and to teachers who instruct students in the advanced mathematics pathway, period.
So after pathway, you do away with the period and put and.
Yes, sir.
There, and state the rest of it.
And to teachers who instruct students in the advanced mathematics pathway, period.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Is the author okay with that?
Perfectly okay.
He had a second.
Oh, okay. Senator Dozal.
I was just seconding the motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well, thank you. So let's vote on the, okay. Yes, ma'am?
Good morning, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman. Is this this amendment because all schools don't have enough personnel, and so it would? I'm trying to understand, since I know that's why you wanted to offer it, correct? Because all schools don't have enough personnel to make this happen? Is that why? I'm trying to figure out why we need the amendment.
So my concern is that in some cases, in order to instruct a gifted or advanced program, you have to have a gifted or advanced certificate.
Right.
That's my understanding. And so sometimes in elementary schools, because those aren't commonly offered, teachers in those schools are not certified to teach gifted or advanced. And so when this section of the bill specifically deals with grades 3 through 5, I believe, and so that would just encourage school systems to offer resources to those teachers if they need to go get a certification.
Right. Okay, thank you.
So we have a
That's what I
motion
thought.
and we have a second by Senator Dozal. No more discussion, so all in favor of the amendment and the second, raise your right hand. Looks like it's unanimous. Okay, now we need to vote on the underlying bill with the amendment on substitute SB 171. Is that correct? Okay. Substitute to SB 171, and it's LC 610170S as amended. Passed by substitute. Correct. Okay, all in favor of that, raise your right hand. Okay, I don't think we have any opposing. Very good job. Thank y'all. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, you may do the other one real quick.
I think I'm gonna let you wait a few minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Senator Kemp.
So I realize now what you were saying, that even if they never hear the action, it's different from the one that was.
Senator, you try to slide in there on me.
We still say it's acceptable.
You try to slide in there on me.
Feeling very frazzled for, we're not hearing 911 on Monday.
Oh, this is different from what?
So, Mr. Chairman, what you have there is the sub that I sent. It just wasn't in the folder, so I'm passing around
Say that
a
again.
copy. So what you have there is the sub that was sent. It wasn't in the folder, so I'm giving all the members the copy of the sub. So these were the changes that were incorporated as a result of the conversations with PSC and the Department of Education.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, good. Oh, okay. I'm with you now. And Senator, you and I have talked about this bill many times, and I appreciate your patience. Once you actually brought it to me weeks ago.
Yes, sir.
And I asked you to meet with several different people, and you've done that, and you've been very courteous to do that. I really appreciate that. And I've got a special, and I'll talk about that in a minute, I got a special provision, that, not in this bill, but a statement too. So, Senator, if you would please identify the bill and the LC number.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am discussing Senate Bill 93, and it is a sub LC 492279S.
Thank you.
Right. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. This is something, as the chairman has shared, I have been working on prior to when I was sworn in. I am a former educator, and I experienced many times leading a high school students that were coming in and were not able to read. And so I was very excited to witness the fact that Georgia in 2023 implemented the Georgia Early Literacy Act to address our reading literacy crisis here in the state. 70% of our children are not reading on grade level. And so we made great strides by enacting the Georgia Early Literacy Act to address literacy and to implement the science of reading, which has been evidence and scientifically proven to educate students and better prepare them to be great readers as they go throughout their educational career. So Senate Bill 93 just strengthens our Early Literacy Act, and it bans a practice that has been found to be ineffective in our schools. 3Qing, which even if you ask an educator, they will not know what this is, but typically you will know it by seeing it in practice. 3Qing is a way of teaching students to read by guessing. So a teacher would hold up a book or a word and tell a kid, hey, read this word, and maybe a picture of a pony, but a kid, by the teacher's cueing, says horse, and they're not reading that word because they're guessing based upon the picture. When those pictures are gone, that student is set up for failure because they're not actually learning to decode those words. And so 3Qing is just a method of teaching kids that has been found to be ineffective, and I'll walk you very quickly through the bill. So in section 1, this is just simply defining what 3Qing is in the state. This has been done in at least 10 states across the country, including my home state of Ohio, where 3Qing was celebrated, and actually Ohio was seen to be at the forefront of this method. So this is the definition of what 3Qing is. The next section has a couple changes, and so this is as a result of our conversations, Mr. Chairman. It does say except as part of a student's individualized education program. So one thing that was raised by the chairman is, what if a student is nonverbal? And in addition to that, this is a carve out that is allowed in the state of Ohio 3Qing ban. But it also importantly does allow for pictures and visual information to be used to build context and vocabulary and comprehension. A lot of times people are misinterpreting teaching students comprehension and background versus actually teaching them to read words. And so this is specifically geared towards teaching them to read actual words. And then finally, possibly the most important part of this bill is I worked with the PSC and the Department of Education to come up with the correct language for this. This is to ensure that our teacher prep programs are also on the same page in terms of having evidence-based practices taught to teachers as they are taught to teach students to read. This bill, companion bill, passed unanimously out of the House Education Committee and subsequently out of the out of the total House. So this is something that I think all of Georgia is on board with in terms of the need to move the needle as it relates to teaching students how to read. And I will turn this over briefly to Missy Parcell, who is a parent and educator who actually experienced this with her own son. And so I'm going to let her speak to the bill and give any more information she would like to give.
Thank you, Senator Rashawn, and thank you, all of you in the committee. As a parent of a child who was failed by 3Qing, I think this bill is incredibly important, not just for students like mine, but for every student in the state of Georgia. 3Qing has been repeatedly debunked. Most recently, a really respected researcher named Henry May conducted a years-long study at the guidance of Reading Recovery, which is the main organization that pushes this method of instruction. And unfortunately for that organization, it was found that 3Qing was not good for any kid. In fact, the study showed us that 3Qing was actually harmful. The control group that received no intervention actually was doing better than the students who received 3Qing. 3Qing teaches students to do what poor readers do, which is to guess. It teaches them to try to rely on cues on the page so that they can be successful at reading. It was just a misunderstanding by the one person who invented this, which was Dr. Mary Clay. When she observed poor readers, she unintentionally saw them struggling, but assumed that's how you learn to read. We now have great research done by neuroscientists that show us that all brains learn to read following the methods that are proven by evidence to work, which is teaching a kid to decode, word recognition. And so we fully support a bill that helps every Georgia student have access to evidence-based instruction and to make sure that teachers no longer have tools in their toolbox that will prevent them from teaching students in the way that we know works best. We want efficiency and evidence-based, not just random tools that lead to harmful practices and harm our kids.
Just to make a couple of comments before we, this lady, Dr. Mary Clay, I've read several articles on her, and when all this happened, I think she's at New York University or one of the schools up in New York, and they actually sent her, they thought it was such a great idea that she had, they actually named a building after her and put her name on the building, that type of thing. Read an article about 2 or 3 months ago that they realized how bad this sight word stuff had created in our society. They went and took her name off the building. Yeah. Took her name off the building. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the sight word thing is really kind of, I think it's really it caused us to almost lose a generation of children to reading. I know you've been working ISU worked very closely with Representative Bethany Ballard in the House.
Yes, sir.
Because the Georgia Early Learning Act is actually her bill.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate you doing that. This bill is very special to me also, but I didn't realize that until you helped me dig into it. That we have a nephew, a great nephew, that is nonverbal and cerebral palsy, and he responds to pictures. And so by leaving this in here, the individualized education plan, you really are helping him out, and I appreciate that. But we all know that the science of reading is really where we got to go forward with, and breaking down words and sound them out, and go back to the long vowels and short vowels is really what's going to make it work for us. So thank you. Senator Setzler, okay.
Question.
Thank you,
Love your bill. The question for you, and this may not be necessary. It's intended as a friendly amendment if it were adopted.
Mm-hmm.
On lines 39, talking about the Professional Standards Commission. For those who don't have it, the rules, established criteria for core curriculum, education preparation programs. My question was, do we need to add continuing education? My concern is we're going to get the schools of education right. We've got teachers with 10, 15, 20, 25 years in that are still teaching those other methods. Should we not prescribe continuing education in this as well to make sure that those are aligned? Because in some ways, to me, it's unteaching. I mean, there's committed teachers who are doing their best every day who are taught the old way and may not really even be equipped to teach this way. That do we need to just, if we're going to do this, add continuing education? Is a friendly amendment, this question.
Senator, I think all that is taken care of through the Early Learning Act and the Georgia Council on Literacy. That there's coaches provided in the schools and through the school system to help those teachers come on board also, and it's required.
It's author's prerogative. I just wanted to ask him.
Yeah, thank you.
We okay? As it
yeah,
is?
I think we're good. What I'm being told is PSC doesn't have the authority over the continuing education piece, so I think we should be good and be able to catch it If not, then we'll just work
That's
on
right.
it.
That's right. I think we're fine.
Yeah.
Any other questions of the author? Great job. Okay, I'm looking for, wait, we got a couple of people to speak for it. Chelsea? Oh, there you, come forward, please. Please give us your full name, and you got a minute, please.
My name is Chelsea Hutchings, and this bill takes an important step in rejecting the harmful 3-queuing method, which has failed too many children. This bill upholds the science of reading and protects students from ineffective instruction. This is a victory for literacy. However, I urge you to reconsider one key provision. While line 16 states that instructional materials using 3-queuing do not constitute high-quality instruction, line 30 creates an exception for students with IEPs. These are our most vulnerable learners, students with disabilities who, like their peers, deserve evidence-based reading instruction. My 5th child has a developmental and intellectual disability. He is in 1st grade and still not very verbal. The best instruction for him to be a proficient and lifelong reader is the same as for his non-disabled siblings and peers. Federal law protects his right to research-backed, scientifically proven reading programs. By allowing an exception, we risk exposing my son and other students with disabilities to ineffective methods that the bill otherwise seeks to eliminate. This loophole undermines the very purpose of SB 93 to ensure every child in Georgia receives the best possible instruction. I know this committee is committed to strengthening literacy for all students, and I urge you to amend SB 93 to ensure that students with disabilities are fully included in these protections. They deserve the same evidence-based instruction as their peers without exceptions.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I would just say some of your concerns, I think, are covered in the substitute we have.
With the exception, you mean?
The language, the lines you referenced.
Yeah.
Those were in, I saw the references in the original bill, but we have a substitute bill that's different language. And I think it addresses some of those concerns you have.
I'll look over those again for sure. I know that my concern is about the exception. My son is decoding, even though he's fairly nonverbal at the moment. And so that exception just is a concern for parents of kids with disabilities. Yeah, thank you.
Ma'am, you shaking your head. Would you mind coming back forward and you agreeing with what Senator Payne is saying? Yeah, you. I'm sorry.
Based on the version that I have seen, and what I agree with is that all students learn to read using evidence-based practices. And so there is a little bit of a nuance in the conversation around cueing and pictures. What we would support is students who need access to pictures to learn to communicate is different than students who need access to pictures to learn to read.
That's right.
There's a fine line there, so we want to make sure that every student is protected under their IEP to receive evidence-based instruction, mainly because IDA does require that all students under IEPs have evidence-based instruction, and 3-queuing is not an evidence-based methodology of instruction.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ms. Beth Hayes.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm Beth Haynes. I am the state leader for Decoding Dyslexia, and I want to speak precisely to what we were just talking about. Pictures are so important for many kids to give context, to help them with background knowledge, and especially for nonverbal kids to communicate. And the way that the bill is written now, as I understand with the substitute, it creates a loophole for all kids with an IEP, and that is dangerous. But the main point is that there's a difference between using pictures to communicate and using pictures to teach word reading. Those are two very different things, and if we leave the broad exception in as it is, it could be very dangerous for a huge section of our kids that are most vulnerable in the state.
Thank you.
I'm happy to provide recent studies, and when I challenged myself to try to find any reputable studies that said that 3-queuing was good for word reading for any kids, I couldn't find them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Megan?
Good morning, Chairman. Thank you, committee. My name is Megan Swingle, and I'm a parent of an 8th grader with dyslexia. My son was diagnosed in 1st grade, but unfortunately, his Brookhaven Elementary School used a reading program grounded in 3-queuing. Even when he started receiving special education services through his IEP, his interventions were still based on this flawed approach. I can't tell you how damaging this was for my son. I advocated against these methods being used, but well-meaning educators told me this was the only approach that they knew, and they believed it was research-based. They were lied to by 3Qing publishing companies who will say anything to retain their market share. These programs hurt our students' chances of becoming proficient readers, including our students with IEPs who are in most dire need of direct and explicit instruction. Please allow me to leave you with one more comment from my son. He's in school, so he couldn't be here, but he wants you to hear his experience. Learning to read when I was younger was horrible. They told me to look at the first letter or look at the picture to know what the word said. But if the word was an adjective, like gigantic, I wouldn't know what the word said by looking at the picture. At that point in my life, if the word was not something I had memorized, I did not know how to decode it. When I went to the Skank School, everything changed. They taught me not to go on guessing and impulse. They taught me how to read the words not by the things around the word, but by what's inside the word. They taught me how to divide the syllables and decode. Now I can read anything I want. I'm not scared of going to school anymore. I'm not scared of being called on to read. Now I can volunteer to read out loud.
Wonderful. Senator Kemp, you want to come up and close out? Do we have one more? Oh, I'm sorry, way down the list. Representative Lupton, LUP. Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Chair. Hi.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm coming today not only as a State House representative, but as a mother of 2 public school educated children. My daughter is now 20. She's at Kennesaw State studying to be a vet. My son is 18 now and at Chamblee High School and a senior. Well, Anna Vitarte. Bye. So there you go. Hey, Chamblee. My daughter is very successful, but 3Qing completely it did not work for her, and it was a very weird moment as a parent to get her to try to sound out words like what sound does that you make? Is it a long or a short? They had no idea what I was talking about. She's looking at a word that starts with a C and making like T sounds or P sounds, and I'm like, how do you not know what a C sounds like? You're in 4th grade. So it was a huge failure, and when we spoke about literacy and about 3Qing in the House committee, I said what I'll say here, we can't get rid of 3Qing fast enough, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Ooh, on time.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Senator Steele.
I had a question for Representative Lupton, if she could come back real quick.
For you, anything, Senator Steele.
Representative Lupton, you and I have known each other for a while, and
Yes,
I
we
was
have.
wondering, there's another type of communication that you're particularly strong at, and I was wondering if you can operate without the nonverbal cues of not using your hands when you speak.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. The best way to shut me up is to put a pair of cuffs on my desk. I shouldn't have given you that tool, but there you go.
Love you, dear.
Miranda, you want to come forward? Miss Miranda Williams.
Well, thank you so much. My name is Miranda Williams, and I'm with ExcelinEd in Action, and our organization was founded by former Governor Jeb Bush, and we work on education reform, and we support this measure, and thank you, Senator Kemp, for bringing this bill forward. We commend that it includes both K-12 and educator prep providers. We do have some concerns around the IEP language and are happy to help support in any way on that piece, but this promotes guessing and undermines sound and spelling relationships. And we are so excited that this is a growing trend across the nation, with many states adopting this, both in K-12 and educator prep providers. And our neighbors, Alabama, their bill just passed one chamber, and it's waiting a vote in the Senate. So a lot of states are taking this on. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for being here. There's no lights blinking, so I will look for a Senator Kemp, do you have anything?
No, I just want to thank all of the speakers for being here. We are at a 5-alarm fire crisis moment in our state. 70% of our kids not reading on grade level, so just ask for a favorable consideration of the bill.
Senator Parent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much, Senator Kemp. Looking at section 230 through 35, I want to make sure I understand, because it says except as part of the IEP, instruction shall not employ 3Qing or visual memory as a basis for teaching word reading. Then it says, the next sentence, that it may include visual information strategies, et cetera, add context, support comprehension, but shall not be used to teach word reading. So I'm finding that confusing. I can't tell if it means that with an IEP, the 3Qing should not, and pictorial lessons should not be used to teach word reading, but can be used as a supplementary material, or if it means that they can be used to teach word reading for individuals with IEPs. Could we get that clarified?
Yeah, what we were trying to do here was to allow for the support to be used if a student is deemed to be, if it's on an IEP and it is deemed to be necessary. So one thing that we could consider doing is actually being more explicit and saying, where it says except as part of a student's individualized education plan for nonverbal students and only the explicit consent of a student's parent. Maybe we could strengthen it a little more to make it more clear, because I know that there has been concern about it even being in IEPs because it is not an evidence-based practice, but just to give some flexibility for educators to be able to use that as a support mechanism, not as a primary method. That could be one way to strengthen it.
Well, I would certainly support doing it as the support mechanism as part of the overall comprehension, but I know the time is getting late and I don't want to stand in the way of the bill moving, but we could continue to discuss that, whether or not any edits are needed before we see it on the floor.
So are you proposing that as a friendly amendment to your own bill?
Sure, I'll make it a friendly amendment to my own bill.
Okay.
I am on the committee, right?
Okay.
All right, so I would propose that where it says, except line 30, and Legislative Council, you can help me here. What I'm trying to do is to say that it can be used as, okay, you got it? All right, what we got, Michael?
I would change line 30 to read, except as expressly agreed to by a nonverbal student's parent or guardian as part of such student's individualized education.
Wait.
What he said.
Michael, read that again.
Except as expressly agreed to by a nonverbal student's parent or guardian as part of such student's individualized education program.
And I think that really meets, I know you talked to the Deal Center also on this, and the nonverbal was a big part of what they were looking at. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Senator Sessom.
Clarifying question, perhaps to council. And the author, do we need language that says sole discretion of their parent? My concern is they're going to say, well, we can't give your kids A, B, and C if you don't agree to thing D over here, so we can't give this to you unless you, I consider being. Doesn't matter.
Really, it has to be a decision that's made by the IEP team, so that you can't really reserve a decision exclusively to a parent or to the educators. Those decisions have to be made collectively.
And as a non-expert in such things, is there any ability, could parents be coerced gently into accepting something they don't really want? Does this really give parents the ability to say, no, I don't want whole language for my kid? Does that language really give it to mom and dad, particularly parents that don't have the self-confidence to advocate with excellence?
So to his point, I think this language gets to where you're trying to get at, but we can't change the IDEA laws, which requires that team cooperation.
I get it. All I'm asking is, I know there's some moms back here that might be able to pull it off in their school, but maybe a mom that doesn't have that advocacy gift to be able to make sure they can say no.
I think okay. Okay. Michael, I'd like to say on that thing, a parent or guardian.
It does.
Yeah. Okay. 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 So, do we need a motion to?
Also move the language that he presented, that we amend the bill.
Okay. So, do I have a second? Second down here. Okay. So first, we need to vote on the amendment language. So all in favor of the amended language, raise your right hand. Okay, looks like it's unanimous. Okay, now we will take that language and put into the bill and by substitute, is that correct? Correct wording? Okay. By substitute the Senate Bill 93 with the amended language, now I need a motion. So moved down here. Second down here also. Thank you. Okay. So all in favor of the amendment and the substitute of the bill, Senate Bill 93, raise your hand. Okay. Thanks. I think that's unanimous. You raise your hand. You can't vote.
No, I can't vote. No.
Thank you.
I'm learning.
I appreciate you, Senator Kemp. I appreciate you working so hard on this. And then, again, Senator, this is another bipartisan issue.
Yes.
This is not a Democrat issue. It's not a Republican. This is a bipartisan issue. And I think you saw the votes up here to support that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Mallow, where are you? There you are. Now, this is another bill that we have a lot of passion about. And Senator Ballard, if you would, let's go. Take it over.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, colleagues. This is Senate Bill 65, LC 492031. I know we always talk about this is a very simple bill, and this is actually a very simple bill. This bill simply provides for mandatory kindergarten in the state of Georgia. I know many of you probably already assume that kindergarten is mandatory, but it is not. And so this bill lowers the age of compulsory school attendance from 6 years old to 5 years old. Line 12 makes the change that all children enrolled for school days or more enrolled for 20 school days or more in the public schools of this state prior to their 5th birthday shall become subject to all the provisions of this article. And through line 15, it reiterates that change to 5 years of age as well. And further moving through the remainder of the bill, it says all local school systems shall offer a full-day kindergarten program. For the purposes of this subsection, it talks about what full-day kindergarten means. If you don't know, in QBE, we already fund kindergarten in the state of Georgia. It's a part of the Quality Basic Education Formula. This bill just simply requires that parents now have to enroll their children in kindergarten. What we see throughout the state is where you don't go to pre-K, you don't get that early sight word intervention, you don't get the basic skills. If you don't enroll in kindergarten, the first time you show up to public school will be in 1st grade, and then you have to test in. Many kids testing in the 1st grade because they haven't been required to attend kindergarten or have enrolled in the lottery for pre-K test in behind. And so if Senator Hickman goes to pre-K and he goes to kindergarten, by the time he gets to 1st grade, and by the time I test in the 1st grade, he's technically almost 2 grades ahead of me. And so where I enter into the educational system with a lag, just requiring kindergarten in the state would create ease for parents to just have to enroll their children in kindergarten so that they're not behind when they get to 1st grade. And most people already assume that we do this. However, we don't. If you look at other bills that have come through, by having the age lowered to 5th grade, we capture more children for them to enroll in the public school system or charter school, wherever they may be. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that is the bill. It is very simple, and I will yield for questions.
Thank you, Senator. I appreciate your passion on this. I've got a lot of passion on this too. Just as you, I think you kind of reverse the example. Normally, I say I didn't go to pre-K and kindergarten. You went. So, as y'all well know on the committee, the age for kindergarten is 6 to 16. My birthday, September 7th. School starts in August. My parents don't have to send me to kindergarten until the next year. So that's the purpose of this. Is we're all talking about workforce development. We're talking about getting children learning faster. This is another way of getting our children to learn faster. So, Senator Sefton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What percentage of kids choose to attend kindergarten in our current system today?
That is a hard number, Senator, to capture because it's based on when students enroll and when they enroll based on the full-time equivalency days when students enroll in school. And so that number fluctuates basically year to year for students that are enrolling. Many families do take over and take advantage of kindergarten, but we do have the lag period. There's no way to capture that data because if they weren't in a pre-K program, we don't know that they would matriculate to kindergarten.
Yeah, I saw you sitting here for the hearing. I thought, you know what, I'm going to get support Senator Mallow on a bill. I was excited about that. Unfortunately, I mean, stepping back from this, most parents choose who are going to put their kids in private school or public school not homeschool. Most put them in kindergarten because kindergarten provides a track, and it's something that parents choose. But this is this is a massive step in incursion into parents' rights and their control of their kids at a tender age. I mean, you're talking about going from sixth grade, from age of 6 to age of 5, and that's 18% of the child's life, which was formerly solely in the hands of mom and dad to decide. The state has said, you know what, we're going to take 18% of that, which is the life of the kid, that mom and dad have full legal power to decide, and we're now going to cede that to the state. And I think that is a massive policy shift. Now, I think most parents choose kindergarten because I think they feel like it's in their kids' interests. Some parents choose maybe to do homeschool kindergarten or homeschool preschool, and they make the transition when it seems age appropriate for the kid. But this is really, really big policy. And I think we have those things that are best practices for reasons. You know, we fund kindergarten, we fund public pre-K, but to command it by law and to force it with powers of truancy and the police powers of the state say you shall put your kid in kindergarten or else you're a lawless parent. That is a massive shift. I mean, I don't want to seem histrionic here, but this is a really big policy move, and I think parents largely that want to do this are doing it, but to command that they do it, and let's be very clear, truancy is a serious thing. We're enforcing this with the police powers of the state to say your 5-year, 2-month-old kid is no longer now able to just be kind of managed by mom and dad. They shall be in school. They shall be in an approved program. They shall be, have a home study program. I think that I don't know that this committee should not act lightly on this. And I know your intention is to educate kids, as is mine. But I think the step here is a really, really big policy step we need to be very careful about, Mr. Chairman.
Senator, I don't think we can forget about Senator Kennedy's bill last week that addressed absenteeism in schools. And we know that across the state of Georgia, 21.7% of kids experience some form of chronic absenteeism, not absenteeism, chronic absenteeism. So we're addressing that with students. This is another way of making sure the children that we're concerned about is not your children, not children on this board. It's probably the people that don't have the concern for education that you do have for your children, and others. So this just opens up the period of time. Like in my example, my birthday's in September, so my parents would not be able to carry me over, so I'd be a year behind. It's just a matter of trying. I don't think it's a matter of forcing anything on the parents. It's a matter of trying to get our children educated faster. So, Senator, yes, sir. Let me go down this way. Senator Sims.
I am very much in support of this bill. It's long overdue in the state of Georgia. We consider ourselves to be, or we know that we have been touted as the best place in the country to come and do business. And in order to continue educating our students, the earlier academic intervention that we can give them, it is tantamount to the success of students. So when minds are young and fresh and vibrant, we need to start teaching them. So it's long overdue that we do not have mandatory kindergarten in the state of Georgia. And we just usurped local control with Senate Bill 82, so it's not a big difference here. As a legislature, we doing what we need to do as a body of individuals wanting academic strength in our state. And this is the road that leads to it. Early academic intervention. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, ma'am. Senator Halpern. Yes, ma'am. Number 12. 13.
I have one question. I am supportive of what this bill is intending to do. I'm very supportive of our children going off to kindergarten. I want to just clarify. I too have a child, actually, all three of my kids did not enter kindergarten until they were closer to 6, just because of when their birthdays fell. So just a clarification here. In the example you used, Mr. Chairman, September 7th, my daughter's birthday is September 10th. She turned 5 after the cutoff date, which would have been the end of August. So she missed it by a week and a half. So she did not enter kindergarten until the following year when she was closer to 6. It puts her amongst the oldest in her class. Same thing with for my male children. One was born in November. He missed the cutoff. He was at the oldest part of his class. My other son, whose birthday is in June, we actually made the decision to wait until he turned 6 for him to then enter kindergarten. They all went to kindergarten, so that's not the question. My question is, when you look at lines 11 through 15, would in fact my kids, because they turned 5 in that calendar year and they had gone to a pre-K program in the state, not a private one, but the state pre-K program, would they have had to enter kindergarten still when they turned the same year in which they were turning 5? That's my question, because there is a lot of data and actual science, I think, around letting kids sometimes be oldest in the class, letting them catch up a bit, especially when you got kids turning 5 January, February, March, April, May, June, all the way through, and here comes my kid in November. Not so much on their kindergarten readiness, but for their further trajectory as time goes. So my question is just that. Would they have to enter kindergarten the same year in which they are turning 5? Because I feel like in line 12, that might supposed to say 6th birthday, but still with the intention that all kids are going to go to kindergarten.
Absolutely, Senator, and I will defer to Legislative Counsel on that. When I look back through the bill, going back to, I believe it is section line 30 and line 28, to be eligible for enrollment in a state-supported kindergarten program, a child must attain the age of 5 by September 1, except otherwise provided by this code section. And so I do think that may should have read possibly 6th birthday.
The child must attain the age of 5 by September 1st. Okay, no, that actually keeps it just as it is. I gotcha. Okay, thank you for pointing that out.
And it only talks about the enrollment of the first 20 days. So that would be the first 20 days enrolled when school starts. We used to start school a little later, but schools are now starting earlier, as early as July. So it gives an opportunity for those parents to capture and be enrolled in kindergarten as well.
I might suggest that we still on line 12 change that to 6, just because that would capture my son, who turned 5 in June, but we made the decision because of speech delays, you know, when he was much younger, to let him catch up a bit.
Senator Kemp, number 12.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Senator, for this bill. Piggybacking off the literacy discussion, we know that so many kids come in not experiencing enough words and being on level. So I think this would help to address some of the lags that we have in terms of literacy in our state. My question to Senator Setzler's point, could this not allow for homeschooling, even, you know, still, like a parent could still choose to homeschool their child for kindergarten, correct? This still allows for that? Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Senator Reardon, you have a question?
I was just going to follow up. I know there may be a friendly amendment to move the 5th to 6th birthday, but the word "shall" means they would have to be enrolled in that school by their 5th birthday, the way this is written. And I agree with Senator Setzler. I would not support that.
Okay. Senator Setzler.
Mr. Chairman, there are two components to this bill. I know the gentleman's seeking to mandate that school districts provide full-day kindergarten. It does seem to be two bills. There's you shall provide full-day kindergarten, and there's this idea of the compulsory attendance age. I don't think what's changed on lines 12 and lines 36 are necessary to accomplish what the gentleman is seeking to provide on lines in section 2 of the bill. I just think it's a really, really big policy shift. And to what the senator from the 40th? 30th. The senator from 39th said, relative to kids who have a fall birthday, sometimes don't enter kindergarten, or even a birthday where their birthday's not by July 31st. They're entering kindergarten at age 6. This would mandate it by age 5. It said you shall have your kid in kindergarten by age 5. I don't think this is necessary. I think to suggest that we're not going to educate kids for 13 years, we're not suggesting that. The question is, do parents have a mandate by law, not a suggestion, not a should, but using, again, the police powers of the state of truancy, that by this birthday they shall be in school or else? I think parents should have the ability to say, you know what, my kindergartner, my kid who's 6 years and 2 months old, starting kindergarten is just fine for them. I don't think 5 years, 1 month, got to be there, or the truant officer's coming, the cops are coming, and you're talking to DFACS. Because that's what we're talking about, Mr. Chairman. DFACS will be at your house if your 5-year, 2-month-old kid is not enrolled in kindergarten, full day, 7.5 hours a day. That's what this bill says. And this doesn't seem like a crossover day policy discussion for us. It seems bigger than that.
Thank you, Senator. I don't think the truancy officer is going to be at your door, beating down your door. And in fact, in conversation with the President Pro Tem about his bill addressing truancy and the need to make some regulatory reform on that, one of the reasons his bill only addressed 6 to 16 was because kindergarten was not required statutorily. And so, again, I think to ensure that parents have the opportunity to have their kids in kindergarten, I think most people go by what they know. And if I don't have to do it, that doesn't mean it's not the best thing for my kid. But if my kid in pre-K and my kid doesn't, I don't enroll them in kindergarten, and they're just sitting at the house and not necessarily enrolled in a homeschool program, this does not take away your ability to homeschool your kid for kindergarten if that is a parent's choice. The parent still has that right. This just ensures that school districts will provide a kindergarten program where we talk about we funded QBE. This would just require that to match that, so you enroll your kid in kindergarten.
Actually, what it does, though, is there are many parents. The words homeschool is nowhere in their radar screen. This isn't about do we homeschool or do we not. This is about parents. What age are they required by law to put their kids in kindergarten? And what we're saying here is we're shoving kindergarten earlier by doing this. And we're making it compulsory for a full day. So we're taking what could be a 6-year, 2-month-old kid in a half-day kindergarten program, and we're saying 5-year, 1-month kids shall be in full day, and that's what the bill's doing. No, separating the full day versus the age 6 thing. This is it's not a may bill. With all due respect, this is a shall bill, and in taking a 72-month-old child, 6 years old, and saying it's 60 month, you shall be in school. We're taking 18% of the child's formative years and saying, you know what, that's no longer in the hands of parents. That is now in the hands of the state. And it's not about school districts that fumble truancy sometimes. This is the police powers of the state in DFACS to say your kid's not in school. All of that comes at a parent that chooses not to put their kid in school. And so I'm just saying, our committee members can't ignore that claiming 18% of the tender years of a child from the parents to the state, that is a big policy shift. And I don't know that, and again, and it does not accommodate the concerns of the senator from the 39th who says, now my child, who has a September birthday or an October birthday or November birthday, shall be in kindergarten at age 5, not at age 6.
Thank you, Senator. Would you? Senator,
yes, sir, Senator. I want to clarify a couple things. And so first grade is what's compulsory, what's required, and that's usually done by age 6. So this just, again, says we're going to lower that to make kindergarten a required grade. We're going to lower it to kindergarten, which is usually at 5 years of age. This does not change the statutory law that already exists, is that if you are 6, then by 6 you should be enrolled in first grade. But if it would make the committee feel a lot better on line 19 to go from may to shall and go back to may, I'm okay with that. I have no issue with that.
That's on line 12, sir.
Line 19. Yep. Line 19, all local school systems may offer a full day kindergarten program, and amend that.
Separate question.
We slowly running out of time.
My concerns are on 36 and 12, not on 19, Mr. Chairman. Although that's
I can
is a
answer
good.
that, if I can, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, please.
Any child that's in school, what this does, I mean, right now, it's going to fall under compulsory school attendance laws. That's that's why we have compulsory school attendance laws, to make sure that every kid, first grade through 12th grade, is in school and meeting a certain attendance. We're not locking up tons and tons of parents and people because first graders aren't going to school, so I really don't understand just moving that down to kindergarten, making kindergarten. That's all all the bill trying to do is try to make it kindergarten to be compulsory attended to, just like first through 12 is.
I agree. Senator Parent.
Thank you.
What are you, number 14? 14?
14, yes. Thank you so much. I feel like we're dealing with a couple of different things, which is number one, wanting to, instead of having kids just show up in first grade and that being okay, to Senator Payne's point, the author, I believe, wants it to be where every child has kindergarten, which I fully support. Another thing for the committee to keep in mind is that I'm a broken record on this, but as well as you well know, Mr. Chairman, the vast majority, like 90% of your brain development, is done by age 5. So in that sense, having kids, that's another data point for why having kids show up just in first grade and not having had kindergarten, especially when they're younger, is actually not good public policy. What I do want to make sure that we are grappling with, though, is, and it kind of gets back to the senator from the 39th point, I too have a son where he was in a home care center, and we decided that he would sort of repeat pre-K there because he needed another year before he was really going to be ready for kindergarten. So my question is, if there is the case of that child, they still need to be in school, but then how does the family handle it? Or is that just something to be handled with the team, that child would sort of do another year of kindergarten? Because personally, I think it's better for that child to go to school and then do 2 years of kindergarten versus not go at all. But I do know from personal experience that it can behoove a large number of, a not small percentage of kids to be on the older side of their grade. In particular, it's often boys. So I do want to make sure that there's an avenue for parents there.
That this bill does not change any of that. If you had a child that you wanted your child to repeat first grade, you'd work with your local school district and your local school, and your child could repeat the first grade. This changes none of those powers from local boards of education for you to have that power.
Okay. One other quick question. Thank you, Senator. It is whether you know how we have it right now, where we've got the decal funded pre-Ks and private providers. Under your bill, would private providers still be able to offer
Private providers can't
kindergarten?
provide kindergarten in the state of Georgia because the funding does not exist for private providers. Only school districts tend to provide kindergarten because it's based on the funding in the QBE formula, which is the highest amount of funding that we appropriate as a state in QBE dollars, which are for kindergarten students.
So essentially it'd be the public schools, and then of course private schools offer it too.
Private schools,
Private
yeah.
providers can offer it, but they wouldn't be, under the bill, it would not be state funded the way
That's right.
pre-K is under decal. Okay,
That's right.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got judiciary going to be here in about 20 minutes. So we got to wrap this up and give Senator Anna Bartardi some time. Senator, you got a question?
Yes, I did. Just want to say that as far as the reading comprehension scores, we keep trying to get up, to the third grade. As we keep saying, K through 3, learn to read. 4 through 12, you're reading to learn. There are a lot of my background working with juvenile probation and working with kids and seeing them at 15 and 16, it becomes evident of what they didn't get when they were this big, and they're trying to make up for it in life. So that really the earlier we can get these kids educated and start them down the path to get them educated, where 80% of the kids I had on my caseload were single parent homes, and just or the kids were suffering when they were little. And these kids that are not going to learn to read unless they're getting into an environment that they have the opportunity to learn to read. So that's what we're trying to solve with it.
Thank you. I think we're going to have to cease the question at this point, and we run out of time. We've had. Yeah. So, ma'am, this is the last question, number 15. Last question.
Okay. Yes, I said at the appropriate time I like
I'm
to
sorry.
order do pass, but I am a proponent of pre-K, and I've gone to classes about it because I know that kids learn earlier than most of us think. And from 7 years old requirement to 16, I've had a problem with that age for years. I tried to change it. So I want to, at the appropriate time,
Thank you.
say do pass on the way it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Bearden.
I think this may be the appropriate time, but to make a substitute motion to table. There's so many questions on this. I think it needs to be worked on a little bit more.
No, it won't leave. It won't.
Motion to table takes precedence.
Oh,
Restate what you said again.
Make a motion to table
You're
because of
trying to
the
table
questions.
Someone up to the microphone. I
No.
can't hear you.
no,
Make a motion to table because of all the questions.
Oh, okay.
no.
You what? Okay. So we need a second on that? Okay, so now do we vote on that before we vote on?
Yep.
Okay, so the motion on the table, so we vote on that before we vote on, okay. So the motion on the table is as we table this and further discussion. So all in favor of that, raise your hand. 2, okay. All opposed to it, raise your hand. Okay, so the motion failed. Okay, now we entertain Senator James's motion to do pass. Do we have a second on it?
Second.
Second by Senator Parent. Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Right.
Huh?
Discussion and amendments.
We're running out of time.
I know. I'm just wondering, I'm 14.
Must.
Just wondering if hearing the discussion, like council or the author might have a suggestion for clarifying and making sure that what the words are within the bounds of what the committee intends.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just move line 12 from where it says 5th to 6th, if that would be acceptable by the committee. And if there were any other amendments that the committee had, I'd welcome them. But I think that's the main one I saw.
So your suggestion would be on line 12, instead of making that 5th birthday, 6th birthday?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, is there a motion on that?
Let's council.
I would recommend in order to make that consistent, on line 15, 5 would change to 6.
Yes, sir.
And in that event, it would be appropriate to remove all of section 3 of the bill.
Oh. Okay.
Which would require renumbering section 4 to section 3.
That would be appropriate. I think that would answer the gentleman from Cobb's question as well by removing that and renumbering it.
And it would also, one other change I would recommend would be in the title on lines 3 and 4 to remove the language that reads to lower the age of compulsory school attendance from 6 years to 5 years old. We would just take that out of the title.
Acceptable.
So you would offer that as an amendment?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Michael, would you go back through that again, please, sir?
Yes, Mr. Chair. The amendment starting from the top of the bill, lines from 3 and 4, we would remove the language that reads to lower the age of compulsory school attendance from 6 years old to 5 years old. On line 12, we would change the underscore 5th to underscore 6th.
Okay.
On line 15, we would change the underscore 5 to underscore 6.
Okay.
Lines 32 through 38, section 3 of the bill would be removed.
Okay.
Line 39, section 4 would be redesignated section 3. And line 43, section 5 would be redesignated section 4.
Okay. Senator, you offered that as an amendment to your bill?
I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I have a question. I don't clarifying question.
Last question. I've said that several times.
I don't understand the effect of that amendment. I'd like to ask council, as it's structured now, section 1 has 7th, and then it has 6th in the other sections. Those are made to work together. I don't understand what the change in section 1 and leaving alone section 2. What's the net effect of changing section 1?
It would provide a child who is enrolled for 20 days, doesn't require that the child be there, but if the child is there for 20 days prior to reaching the 6th birthday, then they would become subject to the remaining provisions, the compulsory attendant provisions.
So why is there the year why is there the separation? It's structured this way for a reason now. I'm not.
I don't know that I have that legislative history at the top of my head.
So we're moving the 7th birthday to 6th birthday in 12 and in 15. So we are moving it down a year. I don't know that I understand the effect of that, though.
Moving it down a year is still consistent with the remaining portions of the legislative language, particularly line 28. To be eligible for enrollment in a state-supported kindergarten program, a child must attain the age of 5 by September 1st. So that provision to be eligible for the funding for the program would be consistent with the change on lines 12 and 15. Those prerequisites would be not inconsistent with each other.
Yeah.
The decision to move it from 7th is a policy decision. From a legal perspective, 6 works where 5 is a little harder to make that fit.
Okay, thank you. Do we have we have a motion on the amendment we did down here?
Yes.
And we got a second on the amendment? Okay, we do. So all in favor of the amendment as stated by the legalese, raise your right hand. Okay. All against the amendment, raise your right hand. Okay. Now let's vote on Senate Bill 65 as amended, correct? Okay. LC 492031. So all in favor of the bill as amended, raise your right hand. Okay. All opposed? 2. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to serve notice to offer a minority report if good.
So moved. So moved. Senator Avatardi, I am so sorry, but, Senator Avatardi, wait, man. Senator Avatardi, I'm sorry about this. I felt like your bill was so easy, it was better to get past this one before we did this. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just be brief. Senate Bill 295, LC 492271. All this bill does is just basically states that by August 1st of 2026, each local school district will create and maintain a contract registry of contracts greater than $10,000. All this is doing is basically creating transparency to the taxpayer, to teachers, staff, to know what their school district is spending their hard-earned money on. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions of the author? So y'all ready to get out of here? Is that what okay. Any questions of the author? No questions, author. Need a motion? Senator Sims made the motion. Second, Senator James. All in favor of the bill, Senate Bill 295, raise your hand. Okay.
That's the quickest bill you had all year, right, Mr. Chairman?
Thank
Hey,
you, man.
hey, real quick, point of order. Senator Kemp got off easy for being a new senator, by the way.
Thank y'all for your patience, and I appreciate your comments. And Senator Settler, I would encourage you to, Senator Settler.
How are you doing?
Yeah.
With the other attorney.
He's got on blinders.
The blinders are on.
Thank you.
Lord.
Lordy.
Did you say meeting adjourned?
Huh?
Meeting adjourned?
Yep. Excuse me, committee adjourned.